Today you're going to need a ruler along with your pencil and composition notebook to set up our page correctly. Like our last geometry video, this is a really vocabulary heavy notes page, and then later on after we've taken these notes, we'll look at lots and lots and lots of examples. So please title your paper Geometry, Parallel, Perpendicular, and Angles. We're going to look at parallel and perpendicular lines and different types of angles. So just like our last geometry video, you're going to need to set up your page in 3 columns. The columns are titled Word, Definition, and Example. Word is the smallest or thinnest column. Definition is the thickest column, and then Example is kind of in between. So the first word we're going to look at, or the first term, is called parallel. P-A-R-A-L-L-E-L. I am not the best at spelling, so I hope that spelling it out loud is helpful for you. Parallel is 2 lines or line segments that are always the same distance apart, and they will never meet. A really good example that many people like to think about are train tracks. Train tracks are always the same distance apart from each other, and they will never meet. So 2 lines or line segments that are always the same distance apart. They will never meet. Parallel lines are 2 lines or line segments that are always the same distance apart and will never meet. In geometry and math, parallel lines are represented by 2 little lines that are vertical. 2 little lines that are vertical. It kind of looks like an 11, but in textbooks they're a little bit closer together than the number 11 would be. And they are always vertical, so up and down. So I'm going to draw 2 parallel lines here. They are the same distance apart and they will never meet. They kind of look like train tracks a little bit. Our next term is perpendicular. Perpendicular. P-E-R-P-E-N-D-I-C-U-L-A-R. Perpendicular are 2 lines that intersect, meet at a cross, at a 90-degree angle. 2 lines intersect, so they either meet or cross at a 90-degree angle. Remember, the little tiny circle above the 90 means degrees. 2 lines intersect, which means they meet or cross at a 90-degree angle. And it's represented by a symbol that kind of looks like an upside-down T. It's a little bit longer on the bottom than a T would be, but that's my best example, an upside-down capital T. And so there are perpendicular lines in squares, rectangles, some triangles, and here's an example of a perpendicular line. Okay, I am turning the page. We're going to talk about angles now. You may want to put these on another page. Before we were talking about parallel and perpendicular lines, and now we're going to talk about angles. The first term is right angle, an angle that measures exactly 90 degrees. It's also called a corner or square angle. A right angle is an angle that measures exactly 90 degrees. It's also called a corner angle or a square angle. That's because right angles can be found in squares and corners. So an angle that measures exactly 90 degrees, also called a corner or square angle. Let's draw an example. So if I'm going to draw a vertical line and a horizontal line that meet, they are perpendicular, and then in the corner there is the angle. It is exactly 90 degrees, a square or corner angle. This is a right angle. Our next term is called an acute angle. A-C-U-T-E, acute angle. Acute angle is an angle that is more than 0 degrees and less than 90 degrees. An angle that is more than 0 degrees and less than 90 degrees. Now, one of the ways I have remembered acute angles over the course of my life is that we often think of things that are small as cute. And I say, oh, how cute. It's such a cute angle. It's a small angle compared to right angles or the next type of angle that we're going to look at. So an acute angle is more than 0 degrees. So 0 degrees would be an angle that doesn't exist. And then less than 90 degrees, less than a square angle. So let's look at a couple of examples here. This is an acute angle. You can see that it's less than that square angle above. It's not a square. And then I'm going to draw a really tiny one. My guess is this would probably measure 10, 15 degrees-ish, 10, 15 degrees. I'm not quite sure. All right, so acute angles are cute and small, between 0 and 90. Our next type of angle, our next term we're looking at is called an obtuse angle. Obtuse. An obtuse angle is greater than 90 degrees, so greater than that right angle. An angle that is greater than 90 degrees, but less than 180 degrees. Now, 180 degrees is a flat line, a straight flat line. So it's an obtuse angle is going to be smaller than a flat line, but greater than your right angle, your square angle. Let's go ahead and draw a couple of examples. So I know that perpendicular lines would make a right angle. I'm going to make mine a little bit bigger than a right angle. And you can see that's bigger than a square or corner angle. And then I'm going to make a really big one. Now, a flat line would be 180 degrees. It's called a straight angle. But obtuse angles are not that big. So, all I've showed you right now has been 5th grade math. I'm going to look at another term that is another 2 terms that are 6th grade math. I'd like you to copy them down, but you are not required to know them for 5th grade. But I actually think they help. They help with our understanding of acute and obtuse and right angles. So the first one we're going to look at is a straight angle. Now, I just talked about straight angles when I was talking about obtuse angles. Straight angles are exactly 180 degrees. They are angles that a straight flat line would have. I think it's important to know that because that helps you understand obtuse angles and understand that obtuse angles are smaller than this. But again, this is not a 5th grade term. It would be a 6th grade term where you're required to memorize what a straight angle is. Okay, the last word that we're going to look at, the last term, is a reflex angle. I'm just throwing this in for fun because I think it's neat. Reflex angles are more than 180 degrees, but less than 360 degrees. 360 degrees is a full circle. Circles have 360 degrees. If you're a skateboarder or a figure skater or a dancer, you know one turn all the way around is 360 degrees. So a reflex angle is more than 180, so more than a straight angle, but less than 360, less than all the way around. So this kind of looks like an acute angle that I'm drawing right here, but we're going to look at the angle that is not the acute angle, but on the other side. So this right here, where I drew that kind of Pac-Man part circle, is the reflex angle.